name's Joel. Yeah, go for Joel. Can you come to the production office, please? On my way.
Welcome to episode 3 of
Pleasure to be
the
here.
podcast. I'm joined by Joel today. Joel, can you tell us what you do, who you are, why you're here?
My name is Joel. I am a front of house sound engineer for the most part. And I'm running front of house on this tour that I'm doing with our glorious leader here.
The Rose.
Yeah.
So front of house for
doing it for you,
anyone
not for
that doesn't know what front of house is, which if you listen to this, you probably should, but
Yes.
you do the sound that the audience listen to.
Yes. I have the easiest of the two sound engineering jobs.
Yes, you just have to do one mix.
I only have to make myself happy.
Yeah.
Don't have to make anybody else happy.
Cool. Right, let's go through then what your typical day on a tour like this involves.
From the very, very get-go,
Yeah, from waking up.
My lobby call is typically 10 a.m. on this because I belong to the country club. You've had Luca, he's part of the country club.
I don't think we explained what the country club was, but yeah, if you want to tell.
The country club section of the crew is typically the section of the crew that doesn't have to be in for loading or walk and chalk or any of the initial nonsense that the vendor crews and things do. So we get to sort of swan in like some kind
Casually later on.
like that scene in Top Gun where they're all strolling across the air carrier deck, helmets slash shoulders. So we got a pretty easy life before in the mornings. We're not a 7 a.m. bunch. We're the country club. We have lobby calls at 10 a.m.
We eat breakfast, we get coffee. Then Should we go do a gig?
Should we go and do this? Yeah. That's so yes. So lobby call 10 a.m. Time set by yourself. Travel in with yourself as well. Yeah, get to see your beautiful face 10 a.m. every morning. I'm usually about prepared for it by then as well.
Yeah.
It's just
You've woken up.
Yeah. And it's good because we get to have a little bit of a drink the night before, having like a later start. You don't have to sort of make ourselves go to bed as soon as the trucks are closed. Run a van, venue. I immediately head out to front of house, check all my cases there, check I've got everything. I then have to figure out how much room I have. So you can be in a really big venue, but have a tiny little front of house area. Depends on how many tickets have been sold a lot of the times. So figuring out how I fit all my stuff, because
You have a lot of stuff.
I have a lot of stuff. Yeah. Most of it's quite unnecessary.
Yeah.
Some of it.
All of it.
Some of it's useful. But yes, I have stuff. So I figure out the layout, where all that's going to go, where Chris is going to go, who's the system tech on this. And then I start building my world basically, and it takes me an hour to throw it together-ish.
So what's involved in your world?
So I have. Do you want to go through? Do you want me to talk about the makes and models of things? Do you want to just?
Yeah, don't have to be too
generic?
detailed.
This is
Just like
I'm using a Yamaha Rivage PM5 as my mixing desk / console sol,
not
/
Digico.
soundboard for you Americans.
Not Digico anymore.
Not Digico anymore. No. Sorry, Digico. Hashtag not sorry, Digico. So Yamaha Rivage PM5. It's the best of the Rivages, in my opinion. I've got a little bit of outboard, multiband, another compressor. I've got a couple of parametric EQs as outboard. I have waves. I'm using waves. And that's about it, really.
All the outboard stuff
my
is
gear
like
list.
It's in one rack, right? So
Analog stuff is in one rack. I've got a couple of Neve 5045s, even though the desk has them as plugins on the desk. I have outboard as well because I need to tweak them quite quickly. I've got a couple of near field speakers. I use a couple of Genelecs just so I can like make tweaks to the mix on virtual soundcheck without killing everybody through the PA and all that sort of stuff. And then basically when I'm set up and sort of made sure all the right buttons are pushed and all that sort of thing, I am then mostly waiting for Chris, the system tech / audio crew chief, to time align the PA, tune it, time align it, make sure he's happy with it, so he can hand it over to me for me to then mess up all the great work that he's just done. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how does your outboard connect to the desk? Is it just one cable or is it a few?
I have an extra little rack of ins and outs, of analog ins and outs. And it connects through there. My physical outboard does.
Right. So desk to outboard is just one.
It's not one. No, it actually stays connected through individual XLRs. Okay. But because the rack so I've got the outboard, and then underneath the outboard I have an IO rack.
And it's
just set in enough that the XLRs that go in and out of the outboard can just stay plugged into the IO rack. Basically, it's an RPO 222. The 622 is the big one,
and that's all linked in ready.
So I just have to pull the lid off, make sure everything's switched on, and it's ready to go. Yeah. And obviously, I have to connect the desk to the rack to make sure. But that's all I have to do. I don't have to dig around in the back.
Yeah, and you're not looking for that one cable that says output 4.
Yeah. And then Waves is obviously just an Ethernet cable.
Yeah.
So I have a grand total, well, including Dante. So I'm recording each track, what do we do again? Gigs. I record the gigs through a Dante card. So with a Dante Ethernet connection, with Waves, I've got backup. I've got a redundant main. There's power goes in there. There's an analog, so we use a 12. Copper snake as well. Multi-core. For things like shout speakers and stuff, so that if everything goes horribly wrong, we still have old school analog ways to talk to each other and try and figure things out.
You don't lose all communication.
We can all still talk to each other. Everyone's, help, everything's broken, stop the gig.
Yeah.
We can say that even if everything does break.
Yeah.
So with that as well, I'm probably only really plugging about 6 or 7 cables into the back of the rack.
Well, that's kind of what you want. You want it to be.
Yeah. You want it to be quick and easy, and I could probably get it down even from that. But, that's about where I'm at.
So set your desk up, set your analog stuff up.
Yes, wait for Chris.
Set your gubbins up.
Set all my gubbins up.
We've talked about gubbins with Luca, so everyone knows what gubbins are.
Okay, all right, yes. It's hilarious to me that this incredibly Italian man is saying the word gubbins. But yes, I've got a coffee machine. I've got, I've made it comfy for myself. Yeah. I've got soft furnishings. I've got a not inconsequentially small amount of lighting fixtures for myself, scented candles, fake plants, because obviously you can't have real ones.
It's like an IKEA showroom.
It kind of is a bit of an IKEA show. Well, more H&M home than IKEA. It's not quite as posh as IKEA, I think. Or maybe TK Maxx sort of. Yeah, bargain basement.
The middle aisle in Aldi.
Yeah, exactly. You can't spend too much on these things because when the tour finishes, what do I do? How am I going to fly all this stuff with me? So
am I going to have to look after your gubbins?
No, Solotech will look after my gubbins. Okay. And then the next time I do a tour with Solotech, I'll be like, have you still got all those gubbins? All the gubbins?
Can I have them back?
Yeah, can I have them back, please? And by that point, they'll have distributed them amongst the shop floor. Stuff, or just throwing all away. Yeah. Fair. But I have coffee machines and chairs and rugs and things strewn about all over the planet. Most of it, it's like a squirrel putting nuts away and then forgets where the nuts are. Yeah. And then occasionally they'll just stumble across oh wait, I remember that coffee machine from 8 years ago. Fair. So yeah, that's just the way I roll.
Fair. Yeah. All right. So you've got your desk set up, you got your gear set up, you got your gubbins up. It's about midday now?
Hopefully a bit earlier than that, but yes, there or thereabouts.
What's next?
I've gotten in at roughly 10:30 after we've travelled from the hotel to the venue, and I've put my bags down and done all that stuff. So yeah, about an hour after that, 11:30, I'm pretty much serving coffee to people, anybody that strolls by at that point, and eating chocky bickies because that's very important to me.
True.
And then yes, just really waiting for Chris and being on hand for him in case he needs anything from me while he's tuning the PA and making a noise and that sort of thing. And then I'm getting lunch around the same sort of time. Get that out of the way. then I sort of pay half an ear to line check after that. When Chris is happy, is roughly the same sort of time that they're doing a line check. But because me and Luca are sharing a stage rack, if it's right for him, it's right for me. So line check, I'm a little bit like, first one of the day at least. I'm a little bit like, and then I'm tuning. Then I'm taking what Chris has done with the PA, and I'm
taking a listen.
I'm taking a listen. So I put some tunes on. I will usually have a warble down one of the vocal microphones, make it feed back a little bit, just sort of
pull out what you need to.
Exactly. I know what my voice sounds like. So I shout down the mic and one to it and all that stuff. And then I'll run some virtual sound check, which, you can't rely on virtual sound check too much. If you really tweak things for virtual sound check and then the band come on stage, you're going to have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So most of it's just kind of like getting some sort of idea for when the band do walk on stage.
Yeah,
so then
getting a starting point of
exactly,
where you want to be.
You don't really know until the band are on stage and they're playing. So virtual sound check's not going to do it. Not going to sort you out, And then it's just more sort of sitting around, waiting for
the band,
waiting for the sound check. Dojun for this particular gig quite often does what we call do tunes.
Yeah, we talked about these in Lucas as well.
Okay, so I won't go over old ground. So there's a bit of that.
But you have to be there for that. We put that through the PA.
Yes, sometimes I record. It depends where he goes as well, because sometimes he comes out to front of house and does that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. I kind of enjoy that. And then, sound check. Yeah.
Are you tweaking much at sound check, or is it just...
It depends. Like today I was quite lazy. So I didn't really do, and Chris did take a long time because he's, it's a harder venue today. We're in like a little tiny.
It's a bit smaller than what we've been on for the rest of the stuff. It is different.
Yeah, it's a venue. I said before, it's a venue that I used to walk into and go, holy crap, this is huge. But this is like, when you're a grown up and you go back to your primary school and you go into your assembly room and you sort of see this, it's so small. So I'm back in this room that I used to think was really big, and now I'm like, how do we
tiny.
Fit? So he's had a lot of work to do because there's delays and things as well. The room's this sort of circular thing. So he took a bit longer, and also I was just kind of dawdling a little bit, and with so many everything's different today because we've been arena, tiny little circular room. So I really didn't want to do too much before the band got on stage because I knew I'd have to just change loads of stuff basically. The next time we're in an arena, so the save from this show will take us through the next couple of shows, which are also small gigs. And then we hit AFAS. And then I'll probably load up the
last one,
Budapest show, which was the last big gig we did.
Because that'll suit the style of the room.
Exactly.
The tuning of the PA a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. So I just tweaked. I didn't really go too hard, basically, in the tune. I think you can overthink things. You can overtune things. I like to just
sound different when people in the room, and
I might seem very blasé about things, and that's quite often because I am.
Yeah.
But I hold strongly to the ethos that particularly for sound, not for lights. If you're lighting, you have to be laser focused. You have to be super on it. You can't miss a beat. You can't, but for sound, like I need distractions. I need to be pulled away from things. I need to be kind of like, I need to not go too deep or too crazy with things. And the worst thing, I'm going to ramble a little bit, but the worst thing for me is exactly what happened at the beginning of this tour. And it typically happens to me at the beginning of every tour. And I can't seem to do anything about it. I get given a couple of very nice near-field studio monitors. to mix production rehearsals on, and I get everything sounding so sweet and nice and fantastic. And then as soon as you bang it through a PA in a big horrible room, you're just like, what have I done?
Yeah.
You know, and that's just you're overdoing everything. You're overcooking everything.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yes. Yeah. A fantastic engineer by the name of Matt West. I think he's still out mixing Phoenix, but he used to be in-house at the London Astoria.
Right.
Did you ever do there?
No, I went there for a gig once. But
yeah. That and Rock City and Brixton Academy were like my venues when I was a kid.
Nice.
And mixing the London Astoria for the first time, shaking hands,
Yeah.
you know. And he said to me, and this is 18, 19 years ago, he said to me, just pull it back a couple of dB. You're overcooking it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I really try and remember that, because even to this day, I still overcook it all the time. And if I feel like I'm a little bit lost at sea, I just pull the mains back a couple of dB
and then re-listen.
And it all
adjust.
just settles down. Yeah. And it's amazing how you really know that. You can really know that deep inside you. But
you still want to go.
You still do. Yeah. Make it louder. So this is just one of those gigs, you know, where this particular gig is one of those gigs where it's quite easy to overcook, and you need to sort of like not go too deep. So setting up today, I was just like, I'll just do a bit, just wait for the band. So I've been a bit lazy today in that sense. Yeah.
But then that's probably going to help later.
It's going to help later. Yeah. Because the other thing is going to get 3,000 people. 3,500 people in there. It's the whole room is going to change, as it always does, but particularly in venues this size. And everything that I do right now is just going to have to undo again later, or, you know, I've backed it off quite a lot. Everything's a bit quiet. I've pulled the mains back, I've pulled matrices back, and I've kind of like settled it all down a little bit. I'll probably have to turn it all back up again as soon as they start playing in the gig.
3,500 screaming fans in there.
The good thing is that we get an extra sound check with some fans in there already.
Yeah.
And actually, I find that quite useful.
Yeah. Well, let's go into that. So we've done sound check.
Yes.
Then we're here at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We've just finished. You've come in here.
Now I do a podcast every day.
Every day.
Every day I have to come and do a podcast. Yeah.
So sound check's done. You go relax for what, an hour? And then it's into the VIP section.
Yes.
Which is another sound check with 100, 200 fans in the room?
Something like that. It varies. I think we've had 300.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
And they come in and get, 3 or 4 songs?
3 or 4 songs. Then they get a Q&A.
So obviously you have to be there for that. You have to turn the PA on.
For that. Yeah. And monitor the Q&A thing. The band like to sit down on the edge of the stage and stick their microphones in the front fields, which is quite fun.
Watch out for any feedback.
Watch out, do all that stuff. And then it's dinner time. After that, that's when I get my proper break of the day, where I don't have to sit in front of the house. I get usually about an hour and a half. Well, a little bit less, but I get a bit of time then to relax as much as I can. And then I like to be back at the mix. Sometimes I don't leave front of house. Sometimes I go and eat and go back to front of house and just. Yeah. That's why I like making it comfortable, because sometimes I like to just be there. Yeah. And if I do walk away, I like to get back, 10 minutes ish before show time. And then it's the show, which for most people backstage is the time that they get to put their feet up.
Yeah.
But for me, that's what everything's been.
What you're here for.
That's what everything's been leading up to.
Yeah. Do you find yourself tweaking much during the show from what you did at soundcheck, or is it just a bit more of a balancing game?
It very much depends on how badly I messed it up during the day, and how much I either overthought it or underthunk it. If I was really lazy, then I'll have my work cut out, or if I was too not lazy, then I really have to. It's all a balancing act. Yeah. Literally a balancing act. Yeah.
So once you spent an hour and a half balancing.
Yes, I'm mostly during the show. I'm very busy. I think of myself as a very busy sound engineer. There's very rarely do I take my fingers off the faders and just kind of put my hands on my lap.
Just constantly tweaking little bits and moving.
Sorry about this, Digico, but when I'm on a Digico, my fingers are always on the faders. The good thing about this situation that I have right now is that there are moments where I'm just like, oh, I have nothing to do. I just sort of
wait
this
for
is
the
all
next
right,
time.
isn't it? Just wait for the next thing to bother me.
Yeah.
Because really that's what I'm doing. I'm just like, oh, that bothers me. And then I'm
Adjust.
fixing it.
Yeah.
And then oh, that bothers me. And the things that bother me could just be that's not quite loud enough, or that's just a little bit too sharp, or that's just not quite wet enough, like doesn't have enough reverb, or that's too much. Those are the things. So I'm honestly just thinking about, I'm trying to get there before the audience, before it bothers the audience. They notice. I'm going, that's annoying me, and I do something about it before anybody else notices. That's basically in a nutshell, that is what I consider my job to be.
Yeah.
And I believe that people say to me all the time, oh, I'm no expert when it comes to sound or whatever. And I actually disagree. I think most people are experts. Everybody listens to music.
They'll know if they hear something that annoys them.
Exactly. People know when an album has been well produced or not well produced, or, people know what good sound is. My only job is to beat them to the punch.
Well, they don't know what good sound is, but they know what bad sound is, and they'll notice if it's bad. Yeah,
but you say that, but then even then, like, you get people like, will say, not necessarily to me, but they'll say like, oh, that sounded really good. And they're not sound engineers, but they do know.
They notice when it
sounds good. If nobody ever notices the sound at all, then I'd consider that to be a win.
Yeah.
Right. But hopefully people are walking away saying, man, that sounded great, whether they actually tell me or not.
Yeah. You just don't want people walking away being like, oh, I couldn't hear that vocal, or...
Yeah, exactly. Or the
guitar was muted.
Or they were stood there going like, that's the worst thing I think you can have happen. A lot of it's psychological as well. So I find myself quite often, I'm just touching faders.
Yeah, I do that quite a lot. My finger's on the guitar.
Yeah.
I'm not moving it, but it's there.
Do you get this? Do you get it like this though? Because I've found that when I'm like, the guitar's not loud enough, right? And then when I think that and I touch the fader, I haven't even pushed the guitar.
But you've focused on it and you're like,
then it is loud
it's
enough.
okay. Yeah.
So quite often I'm doing that sort of like, and it's quite psychological in that sense.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, oh no, that is enough.
Because you're just putting your attention to that and you'd be like, okay.
And a lot of it as well, it sounds like this is not, I'm not being creative during the gig. Like, I do feel like, my job is...
Hello.
Sorry,
interruption there. Supposed to be doing a security meeting.
Do you have to do this
right now? No, it's fine.
There we go.
Sorry.
Yes.
Carry on.
So I do feel like what I'm good at is finding like the sort of the thread through the song. Yeah. So I'm picking out the hooks in each section and I'm pushing things. Like there's backing tracks on this, and there's quite like a lead backing track sort of thing, right? And
so
then
if that's coming up.
Yeah, so Wu Sung's gonna play the guitar, and he's got this big bit on the guitar that immediately launches into something that Dojun's doing on the keys. And actually even drums can be hooky, there's tom rolls and there's all sorts of things that Harjun does. And with Jaehyung as well, he's got like bass parts that I'm just like pushing up every now and again. So I'm finding that sort of that thread or narrative or whatever bullshit thing you want to call it, like through every song. And people will say, oh, that sounded great. I could hear everything. And the thing is, they couldn't hear everything. What I'm doing is I'm going, here's the guitar. And they go, oh, I can hear the guitar. And I go, here's the piano. And they go, oh, I can hear the piano. And then I go, here's the whatever else. And they go, oh, I can hear that. They can't hear everything. It's just that I'm showing them bits and their attention's drawn to it. And then they think, I can hear that, So very mixy, busy fingers.
Knowing where you're going, this verse is this guitar, the chorus is this track.
Yeah. And it becomes intuitive.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's when, it's not any sort of stupid like flow state thing, but quite honestly, a lot of the time I'm just sort of sitting there, sort of not zoned out, but kind of,
you're playing.
I'm reaching for things. I'm reaching for things before they happen.
Yeah.
Before I'm thinking about reaching for them.
Like they're playing instruments on stage, but you're playing the mixing desk.
Yes.
You're like, this is a verse. This is what my hands do. This is a chorus.
Yeah.
I find that quite a lot. I'm just automatically, my brain goes to, this layer page, turn this up.
Yeah.
I probably couldn't tell you that I was doing that, but I'll just do it.
Exactly. But if you were to name a song and then ask me what I did during that song, without the song playing, I would not really be able to tell you what I was actually doing. If you played the song, then I could go, it's this bit, and then it's this bit.
On the next
and then
beat,
I'm pushing this up, and
yeah.
I've got my finger ready to go over there to push this, da, 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 da. So that's what a gig feels like to me. And there are days, a bad gig is where I can't seem to touch any faders without just out, and then good days are like,
it's the automatic.
I can't do any wrong. Yeah. I'm just, kind of mixing like this. And thankfully, actually, most of this tour has been like that. So that's the gig. I mean, that really is.
Yeah. The gig down at what, 9:45, 10ish.
Yeah.
And then what do you do as soon as the
packing my stuff
band
up.
are off stage?
Packing my stuff up.
Get the gubbins away.
All the gubbins away. Just making sure everything's packed up. And then I'm pushing my cases to wherever Sam wants them, because he's the truck loader guy from the audio crew. And I haven't made it to. I like to kind of run to the stage and kind of get involved a little bit on that end. But I'm packing away so much on my end now because I brought so much stuff with me.
Yeah, by the time you get there,
by the time I'm done, they're all finished, which works out fine for me. I'm packing all my stuff up, making sure it gets to where Sam wants it. Sometimes pushing it to the truck if he wants some help, pushing it to the truck if the local crew, or not enough local crew, or whatever it is, or the truck's a long way away, or whatever. But for the most part, as soon as Sam says to me, like, you're done.
Yeah, then you come and join me in the production office. Yeah. We have a glass of
vino, some Van Rouge.
Some wine, or maybe a beer.
What have we got today?
Oh, we've got something special today.
We've got another Chateau Neuf de Pape, do we? We can get some. Want to get some Bordeaux, some Medocs, or Côte de Bordeaux, or something.
Maybe next show, just for you.
Yeah, I'll write you a list. But no, it's a nice drink.
So we'll drink the wine, and then that's basically it, right?
Basically it for me. Yeah.
Get the cases to the bus.
That's a job that I've taken on. Yeah. So suitcases, many suitcases packed into a very small space.
Yeah, Tetris champion.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have to do. It is a little bit weird for me not unloading or loading anything.
Yeah.
So I've taken the suitcases on as my responsibility,
which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, you're welcome. And well, you can pour me a bit of that later. Yeah.
That's a trade-off. You have a bit of my wine. You pack 16 suitcases into a tiny little cupboard.
Yes. And that's it. Yeah. Jump on the bus, have another drink, all three.
And then go to bed.
Have a chat. Usually about Robbie Williams at these days.
If you're listening, comment below, or wherever you listen to this, that Robbie Williams is influential to music, because he is, but Joel doesn't believe me.
No, I don't disagree. He's a great lad, lovely fella. Just doesn't. There's a
He's making a playlist, right, of influential artists.
Yeah, from literally the 1940s.
Yeah, for one of the Korean crew to listen to that haven't heard half of the people. More than half.
Yeah, heard of
95% of the most influential.
Like not David
artists.
Bowie. Yeah, etc. Not Prince.
Yeah,
so
Queen.
I'm putting a list. I've put this list together of currently 224 songs. Some artists get 2 songs. Most get 1.
And Robbie Williams doesn't get any.
Robbie Williams doesn't get any because it's very difficult to go Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Al Green, Robbie Williams. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Angels is a banger, though.
I mean, I almost forgot the Righteous Brothers. Like, what? I'm not going to put Robbie Williams on there. This for another.
I'm going to make another playlist for you.
No, exactly. No, this is the thing. Is I love Robbie Williams, right? I do. But it's for another list, and that's what we should do. We should do another playlist, and then for that playlist, we can put whatever that we want on. Am I allowed to swear on this? I don't know.
Fuck it.
Put whatever the fuck we want on.
This argument will last forever. This is what we argue about every night on the bus from now on.
Yeah, I mean, like, no word of a lie. It's gotten pretty heated.
It's like Robbie.
Like Luca, who you all know now because he was number 2. Yeah, very disappointed I wasn't. Anyway, he had to take himself off to bed early because he knew he was going to get really angry the other night. So yes, but yeah, let's just do another playlist And you can put all the
No, I think it still belongs on that playlist.
all the
but-
Sum 41s, Flogging Mollies, Good Charlottes you want on there. Because I know that's all your favourite stuff.
Flogging Molly. Well, I'm all right for that.
Dropkick Murphys. I don't know what you kids
It's
listen to
St. Paddy's
nowadays.
Day. Right, after we've argued for a bit, then we go to bed.
Yes.
And then we wake up and we do
Still
it all
angry.
again.
Wake up still angry. And then,
Yeah.
yes. No, well, the good thing about this story is
I'll wake up and have a
wake
day
up
off.
and go into the hotel and then go rock climbing and
then
eat
sleep.
oysters and drink champagne.
And then do it all again.
Do it all again.
Repeat. Cool.
Ad infinitum.
Right. I need to go do a security meeting now because I'm late.
Yes.
So thank you. And yeah, that was Joel for the
Pleasure.
house engineer.
Nice to meet you.